Hold on, I passed by the fries.
Hmm. Hi, Judith and Dan. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Congratulations on all those beaver. Holy cow, that is such work. Man, I didn't get a chance to watch all of your latest video, but I will after I'm done here. I'm going to try to do some catching up. But the way you place them on those boards and you pull them up off the board, that's tedious. Oh, yeah, this was my house is freezing. I have my heat turned down and it's 55 degrees in my kitchen right now. This is a coonskin cap that a friend brought back from Canada recently. And although I appreciated it very, very much, I said to her, "We live in New York. How the heck am I supposed to wear that in New York? Somebody's going to attack me or spray paint me or something." So I wear it around the yard. It's actually kind of big. I have to put a little stitch in it just to tighten it up a little bit. Have over 80 to, oh my God. That's awesome. Hey, John, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. How did everybody make out with that storm? That thing was huge. What was it, like 2,000 miles wide? Something like that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a giant, absolute giant. Just north of me, about an hour north of me, all the transformers have been blowing. Well, they probably all blew now, but they started at about 4 o'clock this morning. And I think, what's the latest? Well over 100,000 people are without power right now in Ulster, Sullivan, and north to Albany. We got a little bit of snow, John. I'm sorry you're digging out again. That snowblower is really getting a workout this year, that's for sure. John and Judith and Dan Davis, I'm gonna make you guys moderators if you don't mind, if that's all right. Yay or nay? You missed it and it stayed north of you, Judith and Dan Davis. You're lucky. That's good. We got really lucky. I'm in the lower Hudson Valley and we did not lose power, which was nice. Which it probably, all right, thanks, John. Um, yeah, I mean, my house is cold enough. I'm kind of used to it. I've been trying to save lots of oil this winter. And you know what? You get used to it. You just stay prepared, and there's always another way to stay warm. There's, space heaters and stuff like that. And I've got the thank you, John. I appreciate it. Judith and Dan Davis, if you don't mind, I'm going to make you a moderator. Again, yay or nay? Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. The more eyes, the better, because you never know. I shared this out pretty far this time. In fact, when I shared it on Facebook, I set the privacy to anybody. Yeah, I use heating oil. Yeah, I bought it back in. I mean, I'm like I'm probably the only customer my any fuel company has that can actually hang onto a tank for about a year. I'm that good with it. And it's a boiler, so most of the time in the warm weather, that's the only thing that's using up the oil is when the boiler kicks on and warms up the hot water. But yeah, I'm trying to stay as close to the vest this winter as I possibly can. I'd rather not. I'd rather come in the house and crank the heat up, but this is just the way it is right now. So the last time I bought heating oil, what was it, like three $63.70 a gallon for home heating oil. That actually wasn't too bad. That was back in November. My uncle pulled the oil tank last summer. And what did he do, John? Did he go to gas, natural gas? I like heating oil. I think it's a nice consistent heat, and I have a small place, so it doesn't take that long to heat it. The only problem with my heat converted to propane, yeah, you have a lot more control over that. I mean, you can go get some kerosene and dump it into your oil tank. It's not a big deal, but well, it can be because it can be a messy pain in the butt. I have a pretty good pipe outside that would be easy to deal with, but it's yeah, I do like oil. I just wish it wasn't so freaking expensive. Let's go, Brandon. And it's just going to get worse. I'm sure everybody's noticing the gas prices keep jumping up and down. Use natural gas wall heaters. Yeah. Well, I think Judith and Dan, I think that's kind of typical for down your way. Up here in the Northeast, you could do that, but they would be running all the time. Hmm. Sorry, didn't mean to ignore you. I just got a text. No big deal. So it's flurrying right now, I believe. Nope, it stopped, but it was just enough to make the commute home for everybody. Oh, thanks, Tegan. Yeah, this was a gift from my friends who went to Canada around Thanksgiving. Gas prices are $1.50 a liter. Yeah, it's cold in my house. I was just explaining that I'm trying to keep my expenses down as much as possible. So, and it's a little big. It moves around a lot. I wear it when I do the outside by the fireplace lives. Keeps me super warm. I put the link up if anybody wants to jump up. That would be cool. I've never done that before. And I think I put it up again. Did I do it? Okay, copy to clipboard. Items already copied. Oh, there we go. I got to do that. There you go. I'm still learning all this. It's fun though. Yeah, anybody wants to come up, I have it set for 2. I didn't realize that free StreamYard allowed you up to 6. I had no idea. I have 3 Vanguard wall heaters that broke down. No replacement parts available. Oh my God. That sucks, John. I'm so sorry. Hmm. Let's see. I was just going to look something up. I was going to do $1.50 liters to gallons. Really? That seems awfully low. How'd you guys manage that one? That's pretty good. Yeah, we're running anywhere in my area, 60 miles north of New York City. We're going anywhere from like 325 to 360 in some places. That's a huge jump. That's a really big jump. Mr. Heater wall heaters. Did your house come with the old-fashioned forced air, John, by any chance? It looks like it's old enough to have that, with the old coal burner in the basement with the octopus arms that went out in all directions for the forced heat. We had that in upstate New York when I lived in Stylesville, and it was converted to oil, and it worked well. Worked really well. We just to keep things even, we closed off the upstairs with a heavy duty piece of styrofoam that we cut to fit the stairwell, so it fit in perfectly. And then it was an old Sears Craftsman, so it had molding everywhere. And on the opposite side of the stairwell, um, there was like a lip on the molding, so it was pretty easy to fit it in there. And it worked really well. And we just lived downstairs the whole time. There was no reason to heat the upstairs. When it gets down to the single digits here, oh, I see what they are. Yeah, I've seen those before. I've seen them in like if you travel along the Thruway or Route 17 in New York, you see those a lot in some of the places where people have not ripped them off the wall and stolen them. Sometimes that happens. But yeah, that could be cozy. But John, I got to ask you something. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But how is that on your elect? Well, no, it's propane, right? So you have to have it. Do you fill it? Yeah, you fill it in the house, right? You fill it from that black knob up on top, or is there a tank outside? The downstairs is conventional forced air furnace. Gotcha. The upstairs heat. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. It's nice to come in after a long day out in the rough weather and turn the heat on. I've never been the kind to crank the heat up to like 65, 70. I know some people, oh my goodness, 85 degrees. They have the thermostat set to 85 degrees. I couldn't imagine. I'd blow through so much oil. My house is small, but it doesn't really have a lot of insulation because it's an old converted barn. The upstairs was a chicken coop, and the downstairs was for the cattle. So it's, I'm sure at one time it was probably well insulated, but it isn't anymore. In fact, the mice, has anybody had a problem with mice this year? I mean, I live in the woods. I know I'm going to get mice. I'm going to get rats once in a while, even a groundhog or a possum crawling in through the, oh, hey, Heath, how you doing there? What's going on? Um, So yeah, anything can get in through my fieldstone foundation, and I expect it. It's just part of living in the woods. But this year, in the kitchen especially, I've been catching mice like crazy. So in essence, I can say I'm actually sort of doing a little bit of trapping. I think I got 6 mice already, and no time flat. I have these oh, what are they called? Something, oh, I can't remember the name of the traps, but they're little black ones, and I just take a tiny, tiny little bit of the let me grab one. You know, what is this called? Oh, they're tomcats. These things are great. They're terrific. So for the bait, it's just, I don't know if you can see it in there. I don't want to put my finger in because they break mice necks and probably wouldn't hurt my finger, but I don't want to take any chances. But the bait is my fat wax, because I usually have it on the kitchen table here for when I just want to, you know, use it on my hands or something. And the suckers take it because it's food. It's completely natural and it's food. The fat wax. It's either bacon fat or it's beef fat mixed with beeswax and maybe a little shea butter. It's food. So, you know, of course they're going to take it. And yeah, I just put tiny, 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 tiny little bit in there. See it sitting on there? And they love it. They absolutely love it. It's like a moth to a flame. Good to see you too, Heath. How'd you make out in the storm? Anything to talk about, or did it miss you? Here's the link if anybody's interested. I actually spent some time learning StreamYard before I came on tonight, so that's why you see the banner and the different colors, and the color matches my fleece. I thought it was cute. You gotta have some fun. I've been stuck in the house all day. Not that I'm complaining, but I'm not used to it. I go out all the time. But because of the weather today, everything shut down. So I couldn't get into any city halls or historical societies or libraries. Everything just came to a screeching halt today because of the ice storm. He says, let's see, can we put that up? There, he says, bypasses mostly. Had a minimal amount of sleet and snow. Yes, that's good because I was saying to everybody earlier that just within an hour north of me at 4 o'clock this morning, all the transformers were blowing because their ice accumulation was a lot worse than down here, closer to West Point. We really didn't know what we. Yeah, nobody knew. I remember the one. Well, I don't know if you. No, I don't know if that storm affected you. Last Saturday, we had a nice snowstorm that came through, and I think it was like on the Wednesday before it came. They said 2 to 20 inches. I was like, Christ, my shoe could have come up with that prediction. Good Lord, people. Judith and Dan Davis says, I saw where they were selling mouse hides that are tanned and hoop like little beaver. No, for real? Are you pulling my chain? Or I can believe that though. I almost bought one just to have. $45 was I threw them out in the snow. I gotta go get them. I gotta go get them and skin them out. I was wondering about that. Oh, you had to clear twice, John? Oh man. We all need a break. I mean, it really hasn't been that bad. I was looking on Facebook at the Hudson Valley weather, and they were talking about this ice storm coming up, and everybody's getting hysterical. And I just couldn't resist. I wrote a comment and I said, doesn't anybody remember back in 1995, we had like 6 feet of snow that fell in a nor'easter? Well, it wasn't all in one dump. It was one big nor'easter that gave us about 3 feet, and then it snowed like every week. No, we had more than every week. I think it was maybe twice a week. We had big snowstorms, and by the time we were done, we had about 6 feet of snow. Judith and Dan Davis says the mouse hides are the truth. The same people had changed person. I got a little cottage industry. Okay. A mouse. I can see a mouse being a problem. I mean, gutting it, no problem. Around the head, should I keep the ears on? That's going to be a tough one because my fingers aren't as, I don't have the dexterity I used to have. I do to a point, but I have to really concentrate. And I'm thinking, if you're going to do that, you're going to get want to get as much fur as possible. Well, the good side of this is, even though I threw them out in the snow, hopefully that got the fleas off of them. So then it might be a little bit easier. I'd hate to be, working on one real close and one flea hits me in the eye, which has happened to me before with squirrels when I'm skinning squirrels. I never went back out hunting. It snowed and I got the snowshoes out and the cross country skis, and I've been busy doing that. I guess I could go again. The problem, if I'm going to go, I have to go this weekend because Monday, this is the reason why I'm doing the StreamYard. This stream is because Monday, from there on through November, it's very possible that I may not be, anywhere on Facebook or on YouTube because I added on another class this year, and I'm like, biting my nails thinking, ooh, God, I hope I can handle this because it's going to be a heck of a lot more work. And the one class that's new, they're just slamming us with emails. It's like it's the week before the class starts. Just send out the link so we can sign in, so we can do the student learning module, and that's it. And they've been sending like 2-3 emails a day. It's like, come on, man, back off. You don't need to do this. I'm taking environmental science courses with a couple other colleges, and they don't do that. This past week they sent out the link for it, and done. You do it, you click on it, you get it all set up. But this other school, it's a trade school. It's not an actual college. I don't know. You know the saying, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I think at some point somebody should have stepped in with the school. It's an excellent school, and it's got great accreditation, and it's got a fantastic reputation. But at some point, somebody should have stepped in and said, "You got it. It's perfect. Don't mess with the student learning module anymore. You don't have to do that." But I don't know. Maybe they're sitting around with nothing else to do, so they just send as many emails as possible. They're all scripted. School is fun though. And I did a video, I think it was a couple of years ago, about going back to school. And, there's this big discussion over, I hear one side say, don't bother with college or anything, just get a trade. Then I hear the other side say the same about the other. And as far as I'm concerned, it goes both ways because I've done both. When I first started working, I worked off my associates in business, and that was enough to get me a really good job with the state. And then after that, um, that ended. And then after that, I got into the trades and sort of eventually evolved into using my associates again to my advantage. So it goes both ways. It doesn't. There's nothing set. Everybody can't have a trade, and everybody can't have a college education. So it goes both ways. It goes up and down the scale all the time, and it's always subject to change. All right, what's the problem with the internet connection? I shouldn't be offline. That's weird. Same people had changed. Now you got me thinking about those. Hey, Greg, how you doing? How'd you make out in the storm? We did okay where I am, but I was telling everybody just a mile, about 50 minutes north of me, the transformers were blowing since 4 o'clock this morning, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of people without power right now. And it's really a shame. It's a tough time because the temperature keeps dropping. Here's the link if anybody wants to come up. I'm learning more about StreamYard and shoveling 13 inches. Yeah, I saw on Facebook, Greg, you were looking for a plow, and I was hoping that wasn't you. Did you find somebody? I hope you did. Oh, good. Glad to hear that, Tegan. I'd rather have more snow than ice. JV just put up a post on Facebook. It's a T-shirt that says, "I'm going to let God fix it because if I fix it, I'm going to jail." Yeah, that's how I feel. Although Truckers for Freedom, man, if you're not aware, look it up. Look up Truckers for Freedom. This is a great thing. Canada is showing the world how it's done. No more of this crap. We need to get back to business. We need to get back to our lives. No more of this garbage. These guys need to make a living. They don't have time to worry about fussing around with picking any BS at the border when they've got to get things shipped through. Yeah, what? You have to get back to the boat? Yeah, it's been cold. How'd you make out with the heater out there? Oh, good. Glad to hear it, Greg. I'm glad he's coming. Yeah, go Truckers, man. Get them. I just looked that up, Tegan, on Google after you had mentioned it. I'm thrilled to death with this. God. And of course, the news. Yeah, they should all be arrested. No, no, no. You're thinking in the opposite direction. Everybody's got convoluted thinking anymore. Oh, there's a movie that came out. It's called Seeing 2020. Let me grab it, show it to you. My neighbor just dropped this off. Would you believe that I still talk to people to this day who forgot what happened in 2020? And I believe the reason for that is because they did not lose any income. They took all the stimulus checks and they probably renovated their kitchen, bathroom, or their entire house and bought all new furniture and just had a gay old time while so many people were out there suffering and like me, and losing 80 to 100% of their income. And you don't hear about those people anymore. You don't hear about the people who had to go live in their cars, who are still living in their cars. And the last story I saw on it, I think was August 2020 about it. And now all you see are articles about the shelters complaining because they're overrun, but they're not saying why. Say why. Add that to the newscast. Add that to your story. Explain why. Say, well, we have an influx of people because people still have not had a chance to recover since 2020. 2020 was the year that will go down in history. Ooh, where are my moderators? An error occurred. Oh, great. Greg, do you see that? Or John, could you grab that? For some reason, I'm not able to do that. Maybe I can do it from my phone. Got the heater working great, waiting on the fuel truck to come fill the tank. Well, I hope he can get there soon. This phone is so damn sensitive. Every time I pick it up, it does something different. Oh, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Judith and Dan. I appreciate it. Yeah, for some reason, when I tried to do it, it said that I needed to refresh the page, but I don't want to. I don't want to get into that. That stuff is annoying. The last stream I did outside with the fire going, I didn't even. Greg had it locked up, but I didn't. I couldn't see it on my end. So hopefully, hey, there's Barnaby. Bernie, good evening. How are you doing? Good to see you. I'm going to put this up again, the link to come up. I'd love to see if it works, if anybody wants to grab a hold of that. No pressure, no pressure. Man, I tell you what, I was cold before. I had another hat on before I put this one on. They keep you so warm. I gotta adjust this because it's a little bit loose. I should just wear the damn thing. You know, I said to my friend who gave it to me, I said, are you trying to get me killed in New York wearing fur? Yeah, it's 55 degrees in my kitchen, and this hat is kicking it. It's making me nice and cozy. It's so warm that excuse me, I don't even have to wear gloves or a scarf. It keeps the heat in perfectly. Nothing like natural fur. And that's my main reason for hopefully. Well, that's why I took the extra class because I want to do a career change so that I can get out and do some trapping. And I want to start. I say I want to start small with like maybe one or two traps, but if I go out and I trap the state land that I hunt on that's close to me, I'm going to want to get as many as I can to get the egg eaters out of there because it's just they absolutely destroyed the turkey population. Can't do too much about the squirrel because I believe that's the raptors, you know, the hawks and the falcons and such. I see them at my bird feeder all the time. But yeah, that's my main aim is to get rid of the egg eaters, and I want to make clothing out of the hides. Al's Outdoors, I'm sure everybody noticed. He finally got that old bobcat. I was hoping for him. And when he put up that trail cam pic of it, I said, boy, that is some beast. Look at that thing. And then I think it was like maybe the next day, he got that cat, that big old bobcat, which turned out to be not as big as he thought it would be. He thought it was much bigger. I guess it was just a big footed cat, but He got them, but he said he's going to give the hide to the landowner because they're not worth anything. I'm still kind of surprised at that. Yeah. Okay. Dog fruits. Okay. Let me put that up. Yeah, I'm still, boy, I would still love to trap my backyard because we get turkey every spring. I always get a broody hen hanging around the bird feeder. And, that fox is still running amok. I have not seen, oh, it's the neighbor's dogs that I worry about. I see some of the guys who trap and they use dog proofs and they still have a problem. I mean, Christ, Dan, you got a dog. But that wasn't dog proof. I know it wasn't. But yeah, I was like, oh, shoot, that stinks. But that dog had a very good disposition about it. He just let you he cooperated with you. But these neighbors' dogs, man, I'd have to, use the what do you call the pole with the line on it to control them because I know they're going to try to chew my arm off. They're not nice dogs at all. My immediate neighbor, went to the cops about it and said, "Yeah, 100 yards. Yeah, the dog was 100 yards out in the river. That was the dog, right? Yeah, what the heck was he doing? I mean, it almost looked to me when I saw you pull up on him. Yeah, catch Paul. Thank you very much. When I saw you floating up on him in the canoe, I'm thinking, did somebody bring him out there and dump him there in the middle of the night, or at some point, like after you had left, or maybe he got into it himself. And you know yourself what animals will do. I've seen enough of it with your traps with the beavers. I've had that with groundhog. There was somebody, I can't remember the name of the channel. He just had a video out a couple days ago, and he had a raccoon that had a front leg catch. So he was the one-armed bandit, front leg bandit, and he dug a hole into the side of the bank next to the trap to get out of his way, to try to get out of harm's way. But yeah, it's like, wow, man, talk about determination. Animals are built to live. They're built to survive. He was probably chasing a tree. You think so? Okay. The furniture warehouse that's up in Newburgh, in the city of Newburgh, which is a pretty crazy place. If you Google Newburgh, New York, you're going to see it come up as like one of the most dangerous towns in New York, or cities in New York. But my friends have had a furniture barn up there, like 4 generations. It started out as a horse barn, and they built wagons there. But they had something big. In fact, everybody saw it except me. And they had something big running around that place that they had to get a great big old have heart to try to trap it over Christmas vacation. It was closed for the furniture store was closed for 2 weeks, and they never got it, and they never saw it on film. And the way they explained it, I said, "Damn it, that doesn't sound like a nutria or a nutria." A friend of mine had an old Honda Civic, I think, in her basement. I think it was from the 1980s. This was years ago, and she wanted to get it running because it was a standard. And she said, "Oh, it was a beautiful ride." And we thought, "Well, maybe we can get this thing running. It would be fun to check it out." We opened up the back of the trunk, and what do you think we find in there? I didn't know what it was at the time. She said, as soon as she saw it, she said, "Holy, that's a nutria!" And here we are up in New York. So I'm sure they're around. But in the city of Newburgh, to possibly have a nutria in your furniture warehouse, chances are somebody might be breeding them for food. That's Newburgh. So it's very, very possible. I heard someone say if you want to survive an SHIT that hits the fan apocalypse, uh, the best food that you should have around are chickens for eggs and gerbils. Eat the gerbils because gerbils are full of fat, they're full of nutrition, they're highly digestible, and they're good for you. and they breed like crazy, so you're always going to have a supply of gerbils to eat. That's a routine you'd have to get used to. We're so used to going to the supermarket, except those of us who hunt, of course. You know, we're used to the thrill of the hunt and then the work that comes after getting something. You got to clean it up, get it ready, prepared to eat. See, I'm at a loss for words. I don't mean to bore everybody. I still have 4 in here. There's the link if anybody wants to come up. More than happy to have you. That's for sure. And don't I think this should be required watching for so many people, because so many people have forgotten what's happened. It's just so pathetic. It's like, really, you're just living in your little dream world, aren't you? I hate to complain all the time, but I'm pissed off. 2019, nutria here get as big as an otter. Yeah, I've noticed that. Somebody just spotted some otter not too far. We have a lot of marten in our area. In fact, I was driving home not too far from here, maybe about 1.5 miles, and on a side road, I saw a marten dead on the side of the road, and I was real tempted to pull over and go grab it because it looked like it had just happened. I thought, oh, that would be a nice little pelt to have. We have lots of marten around here, and we've got plenty of weasel, beautiful weasel too. I live right on a stream, so you get to see plenty of those. When but only when the chipmunks are out of control. So, you know, it'll run in a cycle. If the chipmunks are having a banner year like the mice are, ooh, that's another thought. Huh. You know, I could put a little trap in the basement. I might be able to get a weasel. There's another one. Boy, they're out tonight in force. That's the first for me. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I should put a little trap in the basement. See what happens. You never know. Yeah, that's a thought. That would be cool. Yeah, I have some plywood sitting downstairs, Judith and Dan, and somebody gifted me with a Black & Decker skill saw. And I can saw it by hand, which would make it a lot more personable and a lot more work and you know, fortitude put into it. But since I have this power tool, I thought, you know, I should just zip that through the wood and throw some together. I was out snowshoeing at the museum where I did my New Year's Day hike, and there's like a you know, it's a museum, so they have it set up so that there's a boardwalk that goes across a marshing area, so you know, you can look at the frogs, and you know, when they have the school classes, the kids can go out and look at the pollywogs and stuff like that and see what's in the swamp, the wet parts of the swamp. And I noticed I've been skiing that and snowshoeing that boardwalk that goes up a hill beyond the swamp, but about halfway across the boardwalk, I see footprints that go off to the left. And I've been seeing it since the snow started falling. I'm like, what's back in there? Is it being used? That area being used as a bathroom? No, it wasn't being used as a bathroom, of course. So I was on my snowshoes the last time, and I said, oh, let's go tromping through and see what's at the end of these footsteps. And it was a very tall, I think are they trying to get? Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. It was a very tall box, probably 2.5 feet. It was a box trap, 2.5 feet. The back was open with chicken wire on it. The trap inside of it was like a tiny, tiny little. Oh, geez, what the heck do you call them? It was a like a Victor foot trap, and it was very tall and it was very narrow. It was maybe only about that narrow. So it was about 2.5 feet tall, about that narrow, chicken wire on the back, and it had that foothold trap in the bottom, and hanging up inside of it, I was going to videotape it, but I thought, you know what, I've been standing here long enough. I don't want to ruin this guy's chances. So I look up inside, and there is a pigeon, a dead pigeon, hanging from the top of this 2.5-foot skinny box trap. And I'm thinking, okay, weasel, martin, it's a wet area. There could be otter back in there, because it's kind of like a catch basin for all the water that comes down off the mountain. And as the farther you go up the mountain, the more streams you get. But they're kind of cascading streams, so I don't know if the otters are in there. Maybe they are. And I'm thinking, are they trying to catch a hawk? I'm not sure. That's a mink box. Okay, cool. Cool. I hope they get something. That would be pretty awesome. They do a lot of that over there, and I'm kind of surprised because my area is kind of snowflakey. And I think it was last February, they found, well, I even found young dead deer out there in about 2.5 feet of snow. And I guess they found some too, and they grabbed one of the dead deer and they cut it up and put it in front of a trail cam that was really close to where the kids do their classes. So I was actually kind of surprised. I don't know, I don't know if this guy is a trapper within the museum, under their jurisdiction, or if he's friends with somebody there. I'd like to meet him and talk with him. But yeah, it's a mink box, huh? Cool. Yeah, with a dead pigeon tied up inside of it. I was fascinated with it. Like I said, I wanted to film it, but I thought, nope, I've been hanging around here long enough. Let's get out of here. No point in overextending your welcome. That's for sure. But yeah, I finally found out what was at the end of the footsteps that went off into the woods. And that is such a diverse area too. And I've been going there because my love forest is right next door, and that's Black Rock Forest, but they charge for parking now. And yes, there are other places where I can park to get into the forest, but I've kind of become a little disillusioned by them. So I just go to the museum, which used to be called the Kendridge Farm, and before that it was the old Stillman Farm. He bought it off of was it Senator Beach? I'm not sure, but I did a video on it a couple years ago, and I can't remember how many acres is it. Hang on, how many acres is the Hudson Highlands Nature Museum in Cornwall, New York? It's got such a diversity in there that there's so much water. I can see why they built the farm there, because it's just, it's 177 acres, and it's and it's got awesome fields. I mean, the fields are just incredible, but the ponds, the water sources, I don't know if they dug. A couple of them look like they were dug, and there are some that just look like upland bogs. So it's just loaded with it. It's like the old farm that I live on. The reason they moved here and built here is because, well, not just because of the stream, but because of what was coming out of the ground. You know, glacial artesian well water. Christ, you can't beat that. Just incredible. What are we looking at? 44 minutes? Yeah, I have a lot of fun going over there, and I love to do the bird identification. That was where I got the video of the woodcock in flight doing its mating flight. That is so cool. I'll never forget the first time I heard that. I was in Osceola, New York, up near Lake Ontario, and we had gotten in late. I went up to go skiing. Somebody got in somebody's way. I hear a big truck horn out there. Now's not the time to mess around. The road's pretty crappy. It's still snowing out. Nope, doesn't look like it's doing anything. Well, good. It finally stopped. The sun will come out. So back to the woodcock. We got in late. It was about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I hear, every time I go out into the kitchen of this place, because we had a cabin rental, I hear this funky sound outside. Beautiful sound. What is that? Finally, about 11:30 at night. That's it. I'm going out with my big heavy duty. Yeah, they fly straight up, and the sound they make is incredible. So I go out with my heavy duty spotlight because every time I go up that way in the Tug Hill Plateau area of upstate New York, I'm always hoping to see a moose out at night. And I go out across the street and I'm following the sound. And this bird is so dogmatic about what he's doing. He's looking for love, and he doesn't care that I'm there shining a light on him. And I was able to watch him for a while. And this was years ago, so I didn't even think about filming it at the time. And yeah, I got to see the whole dance. And my friend was with me, and he comes out and he's a little bit nervous because there's nothing around up there, just the wilderness, just the forest primeval. And your nearest neighbor was like 2 miles down the street. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I had to see what was making this noise. I mean, it was a beautiful sound, but it kind of made the hairs go up on the back of my neck because I wasn't sure what it was. And when I went out to check it out, I was mesmerized by this thing. It's just beautiful. I love the peep sound that they make. I love walking through the spring woods and hearing peep, peep. And it's even more fun when you're out turkey hunting in May and you still hear peep, peep. They're so funky. We have a place here not far from where I live, and they call it Woodcock Mountain. It's maybe about 1,200 feet. It's just a tiny knoll that was left behind from the glaciers, and they used to hunt woodcock up there like crazy, and now there are no woodcock, which is a shame. And now it's a migratory bird, so it's got some protections on it in New York State, and I can't remember, but do we need a permit for that? I don't think we need. I don't think we need to buy. I think they were considering putting the woodcock under the same sort of regulation as, like, say, the duck stamp, something similar to that. But I don't think that happened because I remember I double checked last fall and I didn't see anything. I looked and I looked, and whoever writes this stuff, I don't know what they're thinking when they do it. Just before dark. Yeah, that's when you almost step on one. Like when I used to walk up here, I used to have to pay attention to where I put my feet when I went off to the side road that was a dead end, that was mostly gravel. And yeah, you had to watch where you're walking because they're not always gonna jump up like a lot of other birds will do. They'll just sit right there. You don't want to step on them. They got great camouflage, and what a head! I mean, it's like all eye, this long beak, really long beak, and this tiny, tiny little knob of a head holding these giant eyes and this giant beak on there. I haven't had anything like that in years. Our rod and gun club down the road. Wow. I guess nobody has anything else to do. And again, I can't do that because for some reason, yeah, I'm not. Error is occurring, telling me to refresh the page. I have no idea what the heck's going on there. But our rod and gun club down the road here, they used to have a guy who lived up in. They had several guys who lived in Alaska, and we had one that used to bring down caribou. Caribou was my favorite. Thank you, Judith and Dan. I appreciate that. And they used to bring in everything except groundhog. But yeah, must have been 10, 12 years ago. Last time I had caribou and woodcock. Sure is good. I miss those game dinners. I don't know what happened to those guys. I know that the annual fee for this club down here went right through the roof. So I'm not sure if they just got disgusted with the politics and having to pay the high yearly membership and they just found something else to do. I don't know. But it's been years since we had a game dinner down there. They were a lot of fun. My neighbor, this is so funny. Now this is a story of two neighbors. My neighbor across the stream, he hunts all the time. I don't know what he did last year because he hunts very locally, and EHD wiped us out. And I always get venison from him. Well, I haven't really seen him since 2020. That's why. One of the reasons. And then my immediate neighbor here, she says, what is it? I think it's her niece. Her niece's husband hunts, and she's telling me last time we were out cleaning the driveway because we share a driveway. She's like, "Oh, they gave me venison," and I wasn't sure about it, but I put it in a pan and I fried it up. And she said it was wonderful. I said, of course it is. It's fantastic. You can't get any better than that. So she told me that she would be throwing some venison my way, which would be really nice. Because I haven't had any in a long time. And again, I don't know what anybody did around this area. We had a herd up the road that was anywhere from 100 to 200 deer because they were kind of spread over like a 2 mile radius, and sometimes they'd come together and sometimes they'd separate, and you'd see like a quarter of them over here in this field, and there was maybe 3/4 of them about a mile away in another field, and there's a lot of woods there, and I'm sure they're always intermingling and everything. And there were a lot of them. I used to love watching them. I just put a picture up that came up in my Facebook memories of them, and it showed the huge gang from like 2018, and now there's maybe seven left. It's really a shame. Most of your meat is wild game. Yeah, you might as well. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had beaver. Is it fat like lamb? I imagine it's kind of fat. I love lamb. I imagine it's kind of like that, kind of greasy and fat like lamb. I did try groundhog years ago. It's like snap and turtle. Snap and turtle soup is good, but just to eat, I mean, and you know what a snap and turtle is like. I mean, you're cutting it up and the muscles are still moving, but the groundhog, it's just a sloppy meat. Not even like a sloppy Joe, just a sloppy to eat meat. Just it tasted fine, but it was like snot. I didn't care for groundhog, and I get lots of them, except for last year. I didn't get any in the yard. But the year before, I used to trap them in a half heart, and I had a trap door in it to fit into the garbage can because I used to take them for swimming lessons because I didn't have. That was before I had a gun, and then when I did have a gun, it was too loud for this neighborhood because the neighborhood was starting to change. And then what was it? 2 years ago, somebody gifted me a beautiful Remington white nylon diamond vintage gun. So beaver is fairly lean. Oh, really? Yeah, they do a lot of moving around. They got a lot of insulation, though. I mean, they have to. Well, look at the kind of work they do. We grind it with bacon and make burger. That's the key. And a lot of people don't. Lean is not best. We have in our just physiologically our bodies work on fat. We are fat and cholesterol, and lean. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the protein. It's good food, but you got to have the fat to digest it the proper way. Beaver burgers, man, that sounds good. I could go for that right now. I still, when I don't have fresh game, and of course I didn't get any squirrels or rabbits, but when I don't have fresh game, I love to. I always go to my butcher or my farmer up the line, and that's pasture raised, grass fed. They take real good care of these animals. Their fat is under the skin for insulation. Yeah, big time. So the farmers and the butcher are fine, but sometimes it's like, man, I sure would like a change. But there are no squirrels in my state hunting grounds. I was hunting that one and I made a video of it because I thought I was going to get them. And then I started thinking, all right, December's coming up. That's mating season. I haven't seen many. I didn't see any in October. Well, no, that was October, but it was only one. And I had like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 hunting trips. I filmed a couple of them. But I had 6 or 7 hunting trips under my belt in that state forest, and there was nothing. There wasn't anything that, I mean, usually you're sitting there, waiting for something, and they're harassing you, but not this year. I noticed even at my house that the raptors, the hawks, and the falcons just cleaned out everything. They cleaned out the cardinals, the blue jays, most of the little birds, the finches, and such. So yeah, I left that squirrel so that he could propagate. Hopefully he can find another one. Now we have, oh yeah, and the raptors got all the squirrels in my yard too. In fact, I had like a month and a half of no squirrels. First time ever since I've lived here. I've lived here for years, a couple of decades. First time I never saw any squirrels in the yard. But now we've got 2 of them, and they're like a totally different generation, and they have no clue how to climb up onto the bird feeder, which is making my life a lot easier, because that last crowd that the hawks and the falcons took out, they knew how to get up into that bird feeder. They chewed it to pieces. They learned how to flip it over and dump it out. I didn't mind too much because emergency food. Fatten them up with that black oil sunflower. They'll taste great. Well, look, Judith and Dan, we're coming up on an hour, and it looks like you guys are the only ones in here, so I think I'm going to call it a night. But thanks for helping, and thanks for filling in the blanks, when I forget stuff. And thanks for telling me about the mice. I'm going to do a little research on that. See if maybe I can get something going. But all right, guys. I'm glad you're doing well. It was nice chatting with you. And thanks for coming in. I always appreciate it. Have a great night. You got it.